Hey guys, what's up? This is Gormizer, and I'm here with week 2 of the SPL predictions. I'm going to be going through kind of what we believe, or what I believe, is going to be the matchups. As you can see, I've already chosen them. I actually did do a long video, but the audio got messed up, so instead we're just going to do a quick one-over of these, and go through the reasoning why I believe these teams are going to go ahead and win. So the first thing we see is Enemy versus Randazzo's. Now, Enemy, they 2-0'd Luminosity last week. I'm going to be saying that a lot because that's still kind of surprising me. They 2-0'd Luminosity last week. Now, what this means to me is that they are a force to be reckoned with. Pain Deviant has definitely not only brought together a roster that nobody else would really have looked at, and as we saw from Luminosity, it doesn't look like they really expected them to do much, and put them together, and Pain Deviant has just brought them together and made them a force to be reckoned with. And since they 2-0'd Luminosity, whereas the Randazzos got 2-0'd by Denial nonetheless, I firmly believe that Enemy has that matchup. Next up, we're going to be seeing Team Allegiance versus Denial Esports. Once again, Denial, they 2-0'd the Randazzos, so the Randazzos, they're not necessarily the strongest roster. Denial's definitely not weak. There's in no way, shape, or form is their roster going to be something that I think will lose easily to some of these other teams. After we saw, Vicium being the ADC he is, Shadowq being great, and, Salt Machine being an amazing solo laner. But the problem being that Mace to the Face is no longer playing as their their mid laner, and Masked is no longer their jungler. And that roster shot is really going to be what changes this up. I think Team Allegiance, while they did lose to Eager, they will have worked out some kinks, because knowing those players, knowing that they will have most likely been scrimming a lot and trying to work out all the things that went wrong there in those last two matchups against Eager, they're going to be working this out. Denial's going to get easily 2-0'd, mainly because of their roster change. Envy versus Soar. Now, while we haven't seen Soar Gaming, for those who don't know who Soar is, the Problem Solve roster that came in through relegations, it's going to be Baskin, Homie FA, Heroin, Jigs, and Met Yankee. And while you probably recognize a lot of those names and know that they are pretty damn good players, they're up against Envy. And if you saw the two Envy games last week against Eager, where Envy just walked through Eager as though they were a wet paper towel, I don't see Soar even taking a game. Like, they will put up a fight, and I'm not saying these are going to be pub stomps, but if both of these games go to 30 minutes and Soar has managed to even take all 6 towers from Envy, I will admit that I'll be surprised. I don't think Soar is going to have that much of a chance. Envy, after their show up last week, is just going to demolish. Now, the Cringe Crew versus Hungry for More. Cringe Crew, for those who don't know, is pretty much the old London Conspiracy roster. You've got Zashu, Repicos, Karo, Emilzi, and Shaggy Shank. Now, those 5 members are pretty great players, especially in the EU scene. And the thing that comes down to it is that Hungry for More did not play that well. They lost to Leftovers last week, and there were 2 members of the Leftovers who I underestimated. Personally, if you watched the video last week, I had no idea who they were, and now I've seen them play. I know how they're going to play. Knowing that Hungry for More lost to that, I do think Cringe Crew is going to be able to take that away from them. And now we're going to be moving on to the next one. The next one's going to be Torpedo Gaming versus Leftovers. Now, if you saw Leftovers, they did 2-0 Hungry for More last week. It was a pretty interesting matchup, but then they lost 2 games to Panthera, which is not a surprise. Torpedo also lost 2 games to Panthera, which, again, not a surprise, Panthera being the powerhouse in EU right now. Now the question will be, who will win in these two? I don't think either team has a distinct advantage. I think both teams have not only a lot to work on, they're going to make some mistakes. The teamwork between the rosters I don't think it's strong enough that they are going to be able to make terrific plays over this. I do think that whoever wins game 1 will have tilted the other team and able to win game 2, so it will probably be a 2-0, but I don't know who's going to get it, and I do think that it's much more likely to get a split, and so I think that no matter who takes the first game, it's still up in the air. I'm going to go with the split for this one because neither team really is that strong. Now we are hitting the powerhouse here, where we have Paradigm versus Panthera, and this is gonna be insane. These games are going to easily be the best games we see all week, and that includes what we're seeing later. These are going to be the best ones, and they're definitely the best in EU. So Paradigm 2-0'd Fanatic last Monday, and the first game, it was just a stomp. It was not even a chance for Fnatic. But the second game, Fnatic put up a little bit more of a fight, but Paradigm still had their chance to come in. And knowing that that happened, it gives Paradigm a lot of positives. Now, Panthera's 4-0. Panthera is 4-0 against two teams that really don't matter too much. Like, in the grand scheme of things, Panthera doesn't care about the leftovers. In the grand scheme of things, Panthera doesn't give a damn about Torpedo Gaming. They eat through them. Paradigm has been the only team that really beat Panthera. They managed to beat them 3-2 at Super Regionals here. And so why exactly would I want to give it to Panthera? As you can see, that was my choice. And that's just because Panthera last split, they went 27-1, and this team has done nothing but get stronger every single time. I don't think Paradigm's going to be able to take a game off of them here. If this was an extended set, I think Paradigm would have a chance, but being as it's just 2 games, Panthera is going to win. Now for Fnatic versus the Cringe crew. This one's going to be very interesting, I think, not necessarily as they're going to be great games, but just because either team could really win here. But I firmly believe that Fnatic does not have the mesh for their roster that Cringe Crew is going to have. I think Cringe Crew is going to come out on top of it, especially after watching Fnatic lose to Dignitas last week. And Dignitas is slightly stronger. They have a slightly better roster than they did last time, but I just don't think that Fnatic is going to have it in them. I think Cringe Crew has this 100% for 2-0. Getting into the last match on Sunday, it's going to be Enemy versus Denial. Now, Denial, while they did win, they have 2-0. Both teams here are 2-0. But Denial won against the Randazzos, and like I said earlier, as Denial lost 2 members of its main roster, Enemy is going to win this no problem because they not only took down Luminosity, but they've always been the underdog. I think Enemy easily has this, and if they drop a game or 2 even to Denial, then it will be absolutely surprising. And then the last matchup of the week will be Envious versus Luminosity. Luminosity, having lost 2 games to Enemy last week, is really kind of the biggest upset that's happened, I guess, in the SPL so far. And I do feel like they're going to be coming back into this. They're going to have practiced really hard because they lost to a team that they more than likely thought they were just going to walk through. And knowing that they got walked on instead, even though one of the games was 76 minutes, knowing that they had that much trouble with the roster coming from Enemy, and after seeing how Envy just walked through Eager last week, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that, as much as I hate to say it, Envy is going to beat Luminosity. I love both of these teams. It's really hard to kind of choose between the two of them, but because of the way Envy showed up and knowing how much more confident they feel in their new jungler, I absolutely believe Envy is going to 2-0. So with that, we have Enemy 2-0ing the Randazzos, Allegiance 2-0ing Denial, Envy 2-0ing Soar. The Cringe crew going to go ahead and beat Hungry for More. Torpedo Gaming and Leftovers going to get a split there on that Friday matchup. Panthera going to have some trouble, but they're going to take up the 2-0 against Paradigm. The Cringe crew not going to have too much trouble going up against Fnatic, but if Fnatic can take a game, it won't come as too much of a surprise. Enemy beating Denial easily in a 2-0 sweep, and then Envy gonna probably have some trouble as Luminosity will be coming back with something to prove after the games they lost last week, but ultimately losing to Envy.